So I just watched Galileo 7. This episode had a lot of really good potential, and I felt they just blew it. First thing, real quick, the plot is a shuttlecraft goes down to a planet to explore. It's Spock, McCoy, Scotty, and a couple random extras. Kirk is up on the bridge. He's supposed to be delivering medicine to this planet. Decides to make a little detour to investigate some sort of anomaly. And there's a whole little deal with him and this guy who's supposed to be delivering the medicine and their little quarrel back and forth. Not really that interesting. I'm going to be honest, I thought it was kind of boring. Anyway, the ship goes down to this planet. They kind of crash land. The sensors are all messed up and whatnot. And while they're down there, they get attacked by these giant cavemen type things. Okay, pretty good setup for a fun little escape adventure story. The problem is they try to shoehorn in a message. And it's the message of emotion versus logic, which has come up before with Spock being the very logical one and looking down on humans a little bit for basing their decisions upon emotion. My problem is they didn't handle this conversation well. It's an interesting conversation. I think one that the show has tackled so far and has done a pretty good job so far, but here they really polarized it. It's either like you're all logic or you're all emotion. There really was no compromise. There was no discussion of compromise. And it was kind of like making the other side seem dumb. I didn't like it. I think partially because I'm so sick and tired of these debates that I see online of atheist versus theist and how one side just demonizes the other. That I see one group will claim, science and logic and everything, and if you're not their way, then you're dumb. And then it's like, well, hold on, can't you be a theist and also follow logic and follow science? And then you have theists who are like, oh, well, you're just trying to tell us what to do all the time. And it's annoying. It's really annoying. People aren't having dialogues. People aren't having conversations. And that's what I saw in this. It was just, let's polarize it. Let's have them kind of quarrel with each other. It was annoying. It really was. And nothing came out of it. Nobody learned a lesson. Spock makes some decisions that are based on logic. Get somebody killed. He doesn't learn anything. That's what bugged me, is if you're going to have this debate, have an actual lesson learned. Nope, they didn't do it. This was a disappointing episode. Like I said, it had the potential to be really good. It had the setup. We're stranded on this planet. We're going to have this debate. We're going to try to survive. It just didn't measure up. My other big gripe is the effects on two levels. One, the old 60s stuff, the caveman monster suits looked awful. Absolutely awful. And the giant spears that they used, there's a scene where they pull the spear out of the body of one of the guys who's been killed. Now, the head on the spear has got to be at least 16 inches, if not more, in length. It's enormous. I looked at the size of it. Being a rock, it would probably weigh, I would say, 50 to 60 pounds. That's how large it was. And then the shaft it was attached to had to be at least 6 to 8 feet long. So, we're looking at a piece of wood and rock here that honestly is going to weigh 150 to 200 pounds. And these crewmen are picking it up like it's nothing. That right there, I was like, at least I understand they're made out of foam. I get it, the behind the scenes stuff. But if you're acting, act like it is heavy. It's not made out of carbon fiber. Okay, that was a problem. My other problem with this episode was the new version of it, which is what I watched with the upgraded CGI effects. The planet spiral thing that they go check out, that looked really good. Everything else looked like crap. I couldn't believe it. It was really cheesy looking. The shuttlecrafts looked like cartoons. The end when they set the trail of fuel on fire looked awful. These are the sort of special effects that we saw back in like the early to mid 90s on television. These are the special effects that when George Lucas is making a Star Wars movie and he's doing his plans of what it may look like and then just kind of sketching it up and doing it in the computer that way. That's what it looked like. This was terrible. Really, really terrible. And part of me kind of wishes I had just seen the original with the original cheesy effects. Because I can buy it. I can get into that. But when you have bad CGI, that's unforgivable. Especially in a sci-fi like Star Trek, which they have like an unlimited budget. Let's face it, it's the biggest science fiction franchise ever. And you tell me they couldn't splurge to get some really awesome CGI effects? And I think, Chris Gunn and I talked about it in our Menagerie review. Yeah, okay, so they upgraded the effects. What are they going to look like in 10 years? It just was awful. So anyway, this episode kind of pissed me off. Not recommending it to anybody unless you're a diehard Trek fan and you want to see it all. But if you're a casual viewer, avoid it. It's not worth it at all. I'm going to go have a beer or two.